Hello and welcome to U.Gov. U.Gov is all about government functions as well as citizens' corresponding obligations, essentially your relationship with the government. I'm Itohan Olomu-Agbodo.
I'm very sad that this election has been postponed by the INEC chairman. And I want to use this opportunity as a youth leader to call on the president and the INEC chairman to come out openly on a network television station and apologize to every citizen of this country, because this postponement of election has caused a lot of people to lose their money, time, in fact, a lot of things has gone wrong. We can't understand why this country will plan for election for over a year plus and few minutes to this election.
I feel very sad for the country being postponed, the election, their presidential election. And it's not something that makes the youth proud, because if you said you want to go to your various polling units to vote, you are going there to do your wish, what you have in your mind, so that the country will be better. And as such election being postponed overnight is something that makes the youth very confused.
To me, I don't understand why they postpone the election. I'm not happy why they postpone it.
Well, it's a mixed feeling to me, because it was highly anticipated that election will go on as they do. The news coming in suggesting that it's most likely the election will be postponed.
Well, for me, I would say it's a surprise, because, in fact, an unpleasant surprise, because at least if they are, because the reason they gave for the postponement, I would say is doubtful, to say the least. If there were no materials, at least they should have noted that. They should have known that the materials were not coming. You can't just say within, a few hours to the election, not up to 6 hours to the election, you say you don't have materials. And you've been preparing for this for at least for years. You asked for the money, it was approved. And then all of a sudden you say you don't have the material, the equipments and the rest of them.
The postponement of election, we are not happy about it. I am not happy about it. People of Nigeria, the Lagosians, they are not happy about it, because they just adjourned the election just like that without any reason.
You're welcome back. This week, we are focusing on the postponed presidential and National Assembly elections. People went to bed on February 15, thinking they were going to the polls on February 16, but they woke up to the rude shock that the elections had been postponed. Let's hear from INEC.
Last 1 week, flights within the country have been adversely affected by bad weather. For instance, 3 days ago, we were unable to deliver materials to some locations due to bad weather. We therefore had to rely on slow-moving, long-haulage vehicles to locations that can be serviced by air, in spite of the fact that we created 5 zonal hubs: Abuja for the North Central, Port Harcourt for the South-South and Southeast, Kano for the Northwest, Maiduguri and Yola for the Northeast, and Lagos for the Southwest, to facilitate the delivery of electoral logistics. Apart from these logistical challenges, we also faced what may well be attempts to sabotage our preparations. In a space of 2 weeks, we had to deal with serious fire incidents in 3 of our offices, in Isia Langwa, South Local Government Area of Abia State, Kwampan, Local Government Area of Plateau State, and our Anambra State Office in Oka. In all 3 cases, serious disruptions were occasioned by the fire, further diverting our attention from regular preparations to recovery from the impact of the incidents. In Isia Langwa South, hundreds of PVCs were burnt, necessitating the recompiling of the affected cards and reprinting them in time to ensure that the affected voters are not disenfranchised. I am glad to say that all the cards were quickly reprinted and made available for collection by their owners. In Kwampan local government area, our entire office was razed, destroying all the materials prepared for the elections, from the printed voter registers, the ballot boxes, the voting cubicles, and several electricity generating sets. 11 registration areas with over 100 polling units were affected by the fire. We recovered quickly and have since replaced everything destroyed in Kwampan. In addition, we secured a suitable building from which to conduct the elections. Perhaps the most serious was the fire incident in our Anambra office in Oka, which destroyed over 4,600 smart card readers being prepared for the elections. These card readers take at least 6 months to procure. Despite this setback, we have practically recovered from this by mopping up every available spare smart card reader across the country within 24 hours and delivered them for elections to hold in Anambra State. All these challenges mean that there have been differences in preparations from one state to another. Our overall assessment is that if the elections went on as planned, polls will not open at 8 in the morning in all polling units nationwide. Yet, we are determined that polls must hold at the same time and in every part of the country. In this way, no elections will be staggered. This is very important to public perception of elections as free, fair, and credible. We promise Nigerians that we shall be open, transparent, and responsive. Faced with these challenges, we initially thought that we only require a maximum of 24 hours to resolve the logistics issues involved and complete our deployment for the election. This would mean shifting the elections to commence on Saturday, 17th February 2019. However, given the restriction of movement during elections, that could affect many voters who worship on Sundays. While the Commission was considering the following Monday, 18th February 2019, as an option, our ICT department advised us that it would require 5 to 6 days to reconfigure about 180,000 smart card readers earlier programmed to work only on election day, Saturday, 16th February 2019. It is for this reason that the Commission decided to adjust the election dates to Saturday, 23rd February 2019 for presidential and National Assembly elections, and a consequential adjustment of governorship, state assembly, and FCT area council elections to Saturday, 9th March 2019.
You're welcome back. That was INEC announcing the postponement of the elections, the presidential and the National Assembly elections. Well, we got to the streets of Lagos and got some reactions from Nigerians, how they felt about the postponed polls. Let's take a listen.
Why would you cancel the election 2 hours to the, almost 2 hours or 3 hours to the election? It's not done. For you to cancel election, there must be a reason. Maybe security reason, maybe they are fighting, there is riot.
Postponing the election, nothing less than 8 hours to the election. You know, something I actually think is that the election can be postponed, but our decisions cannot be postponed.
Yes, I think I have to give 3 gusas to the INEC chairman, because if he doesn't smell a rat, he won't do what he has done. Because if you look at the scenario, and if you see what is really happening outside, particularly some key and notable personnel checking out of the country, you will presume or you will assume that they are into something else.
We did not expect it, so we were all dazed when we learned about it, I think around 2 a.m. But let me tell you, if it's a decision from INEC, I will say it's just a common balance, or they are trying to cajole us, to act otherwise. But Nigerians will have decision to make. It is not enough to intimidate us. If they like, they should shift it to next month. Fine. We still have our decision to make because it is our fundamental right.
Welcome back. A lot of reactions there on the streets. And apart from people reacting on the streets, the major candidates for the presidential elections, the incumbent President Muhammadu Buhari, as well as the PDP presidential aspirant Atiku Abubakar, also reacted to the postponed elections. So let's take a listen to their reactions.
Before you to read a statement by the President Muhammadu Buhari, on the current national situation. And this is the statement. The President says, "I am deeply disappointed that despite the long notice given and our preparations, both locally and internationally, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, postponed the presidential and the National Assembly elections within hours of its commitment. Many Nigerians have traveled to various locations to exercise their right to vote, and international observers are gathered. INEC themselves have given assurances day after day, almost hour after hour, that they are in complete preparedness for the elections. We and all our citizens believed them. This administration has ensured that we do not interfere in any way with the work of INEC, except to ensure that all funds were released to the Commission." The President continues, "We now urge INEC to ensure not only that materials already distributed are safe and do not get into wrong hands, but that everything is done to avoid the lapses that resulted in this unfortunate postponement and ensure a free and fair election on the rescheduled dates." President says, "While I affirm my strong commitment to the independence, neutrality of the electoral empire, and the sanctity of the electoral process and ballot, I urge all political stakeholders and Nigerians to continue to rally around INEC at this trying national moment in our democratic journey." The President says, "I therefore appeal to all Nigerians to refrain from all civil disorder and remain peaceful, patriotic, and united to ensure that no force or conspiracy derailed our democratic development." The President concludes by saying, "I have decided to move back to Abuja to ensure that the 1400 hours, Daura, February 16th, 2019, signed Muhammadu Buhari, President, Federal Republic of Nigeria.
As you can see, I'm getting ready to go to Abuja because there is an emergency meeting of the PDP. So we will meet and then decide on our reaction to that.
Are you dampened by this development?
One after the other, please. Let me have a question at a time, please.
Are you dampened by this?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Are you concerned about the fact that sensitive materials have already been deployed to the field?
Well, as long as they are secured and they are in the right, places, there is no cause for alarm. I'm appealing to Nigerians to please come out and vote, and I'm asking them to be patient about it.
Now, that's all. With stakeholders.
It's okay.
Basically, what are we expecting?
Last question.
Sorry?
You're meeting with the stakeholders you're going for. What are we to expect?
Well, whatever to expect, you will hear from the stakeholders or from the
Thank you very much.
National
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome back. It's all about reactions. We'll now take a look at our Meet the Candidate segment. We'll have Jimmy Agbaji of the PDP in Lagos State and another candidate. Let's take a look.
Well, basically what I'm saying is that there's provision generally in each polling unit for up to 500 registered voters. And the way our country works is that if you have a situation where a few number of people vote in a polling unit, those that know how to work the system will use the unused ballot papers and vote in a way that is different from what the people would rather vote for. So what I'm saying is that those papers will be used fraudulently. If the electorate, we tend to believe in political parties, whereas the reality is that our political parties generally do not have very firm ideologies. We also tend to believe that a so-called godfather knows everything, and that so the electorate appears to delegate his powers to this godfather. And that when you do that, it means you've really given up your right to determine the right person for the office, believing that the godfather has the right person. Whereas that in enforcing the parties to get an ideology, the best way forward is for people to vote for the right candidate. When the party believes that people are voting for good candidates, then they are forced to allow good candidates on their party platform, rather than a situation where parties believe that whether they bring a goat or whatever, that the people will vote for the party, not because the candidate is the best, but because that is the party that has sold itself over a period of time. Well, I'm hoping that I'm hoping it will be better, but I had hoped that we would have made some progress in terms of. I was hoping that we'd have more people, a process that is improving, rather than we have not made progress in terms of our electoral process, in terms of our electoral laws, and that is the reality. I'd hope that the new electoral bill would have been passed, then would have made a step further in terms of getting it better. So we're still going back to a lot of, it's going to be more subjective to people And when you have people, then there's room for a lot of manipulation. An electronic process tends to remove a lot of this maneuvering, and so for me, that is what I feel disappointed about.
I'm running because I think Lagosians who work really, really hard to just to just get by on a daily basis need something better than what they have now. All right? You can see the aspirations of Lagosians in the, fantasies of our children, the musicians, the actors, the Nollywood people. You can see the fantasies they come up with. They come up in their movies, in their musical videos, with a Lagos that is super glamorous, that is very, very far away from our actual reality. Okay? And I've tried to create that reality for them in Amen Estate, okay, in Ibejuleki, and that has made Amen Estate the entertainment capital of Nigeria, and of course that means of Africa. But Amen Estate is not nearly enough to address the issues faced by 24 million people. Okay? We need to take the Amen Estate ethos, we need to take it outside the walls of Amen Estate and give it to all Lagosians. Amen Estate has 24 hours power. Lagos State needs 24 hours power. Amen Estate has water around the clock. Lagos needs, water around the clock. Amen Estate has tight security around the clock. Lagos State needs the same. Amen Estate has redefined the aesthetic of Lagos State, and we need to take that definition into the wider state so that the very sad epithet that we have now been lumbered with of being the world's third worst city to live in, we can shed that toga for once and for all and forever. The electorate should go out and vote. When they are finished voting, they should wait until the votes are counted. When the votes are counted, they should wait until the votes are posted up. And when the votes are posted up, they should wait until the votes are taken to the collation center. Follow it there. And when the votes are counted at the collation center, wait until it's taken to the next collation center up, which is the local government collation center. And when it's counted there, follow it to the state headquarters of INEC and make sure that the votes are not rigged or changed. Use your social media for the purpose of securing your future this time. Okay? Go live when your votes are being counted at your polling units. Go live on Facebook. Go live on Instagram. All right? Video everything. Broadcast it to the world. And let there be no hiding place for election riggers. Let there be no hiding place for those who would manipulate the process of you choosing your leaders going forward. And I hope that this time you plan to vote, something different. You plan to move away from the old. You plan to throw away the things of old and move into something new.
This is your set time. The time for the fulfillment of this scripture in your life and ministry.
And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. Oh! Ha!
Isaiah chapter 60. Lay hold and appropriate this prophetic message given to the prophet Isaiah in your life and ministry today as you watch and meditate on this timely message.
Wow! Look at the B part of verse 15. He says, I will make thee an eternal excellency, a joy of many generations. Shout amen, somebody. And it's not through yet.
It's God's Rhema for the hour. It's a message that would revolutionize your growth and development. This new release by Pastor Chris is available on the Pastor Chris Digital Library app for iOS and Android devices. Isaiah 60. Order for your copy today.
And we have some more tidbits for you this week on the show. Well, that's the much we can take this week. It's still your right to vote. No matter the postponement of the polls, you still get to choose your leaders. Go out and vote. Go out and exercise your franchise. It is your right to vote. We have numbers that will be showing on your screen now. You can send messages to those numbers, and you can also send comments to us on our website on www.loveoplus.org. I am Itohan Olomu-Agbodo, and I say bye for now.